The world smells of wet ash and new life. 1.5 million years ago, a rare volcanic island steams in the vast blue emptiness of the sea. It is a world born of fire, and for the clan of Homo erectus who have washed ashore here, it is a second chance that looks remarkably like a cage. They are pioneers by accident, survivors of a storm that tore their coastal homeland from their grasp and delivered them here on a raft of tangled mangroves. For weeks, they have subsisted on shellfish and the occasional seabird, but the tide pools are growing barren. They are starving. This is the brutal reality of their prehistoric life. They have landed in a paradise that wants to kill them. The island is a riot of green, strained, fleshy leaves drip with moisture, and bizarre, brilliantly minor-scattered flowers hang in the humid air like jewels. It is a world of plenty, but it is a library of knowledge they cannot read. Every plant is a question, and every answer could be a death sentence. The primal fear here is not of the tooth and claw, but of the siren, waiting poison in a leaf, a root, a berry. The hunger is a constant, grinding a physical pressure that urges them to take a chance, to eat the tempting, purple fruit that hangs in heavy clusters, but they have learned it. The first lesson was taught by a young male, his hunger overriding his caution. He had eaten a handful of bright red berries, his face a mask of desperate relief for a few precious minutes. Then the lesson began. The convulsion started first. A violent, full-minus body tremor that threw him to the ground. He foamed at the mouth, his eyes rolling back as his muscles knotted in unimaginable agony. The clan could only watch, their own hunger forgotten, replaced by a cold, horrified fascination. His death was not quick. It was a loud, horrifying spectacle that etched itself into the clan's collective memory. The red berries were death. This is the dawn of paleoethnobotanism, not as a science, but as a scar. Now they are trapped. The verdant cage surrounds them, offering a bounty they dare not touch. A hard choice is presented every waking moment. The slow, hollow death of starvation, or the quick, agonizing death of poison. They are a community bound by this shared, terrible knowledge. The memory of the dying boy is their most valuable tool, a piece of information more critical to their survival skills than the sharpest Acheulean hand-minus axe they can nap. A new kind of intelligence is being forced upon these human ancestors. It is the intelligence of caution, of observation, of memory. An older female now spends her days not foraging, but watching. She watches the small, furred animals of the island. She sees them avoid the red berries. She sees them dig for a specific, gnarled brown root. She watches them eat it and live. She does not eat the root herself, but she digs one up, smells it, and carries it back to the clan. It is a single, unproven fact in a world of lethal unknowns. It is a flicker of hope. The gnarled brown roots, it's in the center of the camp. An object of both profound hope and paralyzing fear. The clan of Homo erectus stares at it. Their hunger a physical presence, a hollow phantom in their bellies. The memory of the boy's agonizing death is a barrier of pure terror between them and this potential salvation. To eat is to risk his fate. To not eat is to accept the slow, walking death of starvation. This is a problem that their powerful Acheulean hand-minus axes, their most advanced primitive technology, cannot solve. The challenge is not physical, but intellectual and existential. It is a turning point in their hominid history. The clan's leader, an old male with a heavily scarred brow ridge, understands the brutal calculus. Random experimentation will kill them all, one by one. But a controlled experiment, however horrific, might save them. He is formulating the first scientific protocol, a grim procedure born of absolute necessity. This is an act of supreme foresight. He picks up the root and, using a sharp flint flake, scrapes a minuscule shaving from its side. He is about to invent the biocay, using the only laboratory equipment he has, a living member of his own clan. The hard choice is who will be the subject. There is no call for volunteers, no heroic gesture. The choice is a silent, communal one. An older woman, whose mate was lost in the storm that brought them here, steps forward. She has no young children to care for. Her eyes are weary, but her movements are deliberate. Her action is not one of dramatic sacrifice, but of quiet, pragmatic altruism. She is the most logical choice, the one whose death would cost the group's future the least. It is a cold, brutal equation, but it is the one that governs their world. She is offering her life, what remains of it, in exchange for a single, vital piece of knowledge. The act of watching, of bearing witness, becomes a primitive form of science, a shared ledger of pain and discovery. To look away is to dishonor the price being paid for knowledge. Perhaps this is our oldest duty as a species, to join the circle of witnesses and remember the cost of every step forward. The old male places the tiny shaving of root on her tongue. She chews, her face impassive, and swallows. Then, the waiting begins. The entire clan eats in a silent circle round her. Their own hunger a distant take compared to the immediate, heart-minus bounding tension of the vigil. Every breath she takes is a victory. Every twitch is a potential sign of the end. This is the birth of toxicology, not in a clean room with beakers, but in the dirt, with a circle of terrified ancient humans watching one of their own for the tell-minus-tale signs of a horrifying death. An hour passes. Then too, the woman feels a slight cramping in her stomach, but she does not convulse. She does not foam at the mouth. As the sun begins to set, it is clear she will live. A collective sigh of relief ripples through the clan, but it is not a sound of celebration. It is the sound of a single battle won in a war that is far from over. The protocol has worked. Tomorrow, they will test a slightly larger piece. The calculus of poison becomes the clan's new calendar. Each day is marked not by the sun's up, but by a new, terrifying experiment. The old woman becomes a living vessel of knowledge, a sacred, walking encyclopedia of survival. On the second day, she eats a piece of the brown root the size of her thumbnail. Again, the clan holds its vigil. Their collective breath held for hours. She survives, suffering only mild stomach pains. On the third day, a larger piece. On the fourth, a whole root. By the fifth day, the verdict is in. The root is safe, cautiously at first. Then Ravensway, the clan begins to eat. The taste is bitter, the texture stringy, but it is life. It is the first entry in their mental library of this new world. A piece of information purchased at an almost unbearable cost of terror and risk. But one safe food is not enough to sustain them. The grim process of foraging by trial and error must continue. They test abroad, fleshy leaf next. The first tiny taste brings on violent nausea. The leaf is marked as poison. They try the nectar of a bright yellow flower. It gives the tester a splitting headache that lasts for 2 days. Poison. They experiment with a pale, soft fungus growing on a fallen log. The tester lives. Another entry is added to the catalogue. Safe. Poison. Safe. Poison. This is the slow, agonizing process of knowledge transmission in its most primal form. It is a dialogue with their environment where the stakes are absolute. This is the raw, unglamorous reality of human evolution, a painstaking accumulation of facts, paid for in suffering. The clan's leader records the knowledge. On a flat, smooth stone tablet near their fire, he makes marks. He uses a sharp piece of flint to scratch the shape of the safe fruit. Next to it, he draws a simple figure of a person, a frightened hole. Then he scratches the shape of the red berries that killed the boy. Next to it, he draws a figure lying on its side, a mark of death. Leaf, flower, fungus, each one is recorded in this simple, brutal binary. It is the first book ever written in this new land, a sacred text of life and death. This stone is now the most important piece of primitive technology they possess, more valuable than any tool for hunting or butchery. It is the physical manifestation of their collective memory. Weeks turn into months. The stone tablet grows crowded with marks. Their diet is a meager, bitter collection of roots and fungi, but it is enough. The sharpness of their ribs begins to soften. The children's hollow eyes regain a spark of life. The old woman who was their first test subject is now treated with a reverence that borders on awe. She is the keeper of the living knowledge. The clan has not conquered this island. They have made a truce with it. This is their emotional turning point. The terror has not vanished, but it has been organized. They have taken the chaotic, lethal randomness of their new home and imposed upon it a grid of human understanding. They have paid a terrible price. But in doing so, they have transformed themselves from castaways into colonists. They have learned not just to survive, but how to learn. What we have witnessed here is the birth of the scientific method, stripped of all romance and reduced to its brutal, essential core. Hypothesis, experiment, observation, conclusion. This clan of Homo erectus, marooned in a garden of unknown chemistry, was forced to invent a system for converting raw, terrifying chaos into life minus saving order. The stone tablet, with its simple, scratched symbols, is a direct ancestor of every database, every textbook, every scientific journal we have ever created. It represents one of the most profound leaps in the history of our lineage, the understanding that knowledge, once gained, can be stored outside the fallible human memory and passed across generations. They learned that the most powerful survival tool is not an axe or a spear, but a piece of verified, transferable information. We, their descendants, are surrounded by a world of staggering complexity, from the chemistry of our own bodies to the ecology of our planet. Do we still respect the grim, methodical process of discovery that allows us to navigate it? Or have we come to treat knowledge as a cheap commodity, forgetting the terrible price that was once paid for each and every fact? The first stories were not epics. They were field guides, written in blood. But what happens when the poison is not in a plant, but in an idea?